So today I met a man at a lovely cafe that I went to today. And this man, like pretty much all the other men that I work with, was the classic example of a man that's way too deep into his nervous system, stressed in his nervous system, freaking out, upset, gritting his teeth, white-knuckling through life. And on the external side, it seemed like he was thriving and succeeding. He was really muscular. He was a handsome guy. He was tall. He clearly had a lot of money. He told me about his very successful e-commerce business, and he told me that he was succeeding very much so and was being able to travel all over the world and have a lot of time freedom and financial freedom. But he very quickly got into how he was still really stressed out and still really upset. And I told him, I said, man, you are living the dream life. You're living the dream life, man, that a lot of people all over the world want to live. They want that time freedom. They want that financial freedom. And he said, yeah, man, but I'm not at peace. I'm stressed out. I'm working hard all the time. And I could tell that he was so stressed and about something deep. And I said to him, I said, something tells me that it's not the money that you want. Something tells me that something deeper is motivating why you're behaving this way. Because look at you. You have everything that you could want, and yet you feel you're not okay. And he very quickly disclosed to me that he felt like when he was growing up that he was missing his mother's love and that he was working so hard to be seen as being worthy of love. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the core problem that I would say that almost all very successful men are experiencing in their life. That they've turned this fear, they've turned this pain, they've turned this lack of love that they've experienced in their life into a way of feeling worthy. Some of the guys I've worked with are really muscular people, very successful people. They've traveled the world. They have a lot of money. They have the external reflection of what it appears to be success. And then when you talk to them, they are some of the most insecure, upset, anxious, frustrated, self-sabotaging people that you'll ever meet. And it's bizarre. It is bizarre to think that somebody that appears to be the paragon of success, somebody that appears to be the paragon of excellence, is deeply lost and deeply upset and deeply fearful and anxious inside. And I told him, I said, you know, man, everything that you're doing in your life is to gain that love. When at the end of the day, love is not earned. Love is not conditional. Love is not something you buy. You can't buy your way into respect. You can't buy your way into peace. You can't buy your way into feeling safe in your nervous system. You have to go within. And the whole time I was describing this, he was saying, but peace doesn't pay the bills. But chilling out doesn't pay the bills. But relaxing doesn't pay the bills. I can't just take a vacation and relax. And I was just laughing the whole time I was talking to him because he was 26 and I'm now going to turn 32 now. And I know exactly how he was feeling. I know exactly what he was saying. Like when I was at that age and I was so deep into the whole warrior mindset of I gotta work hard, I gotta grind hard, I gotta suffer, I gotta sacrifice to make this happen. And ain't nobody gonna carry the boats. Who's gonna carry the boats? Blah, blah, blah. That whole like hardcore warrior mindset of it's never good enough. I have to sacrifice my whole life to succeed. And I was listening to him, and literally the exact same responses that he was telling me were the same responses I was giving to myself or to my mentors that were telling me the same suggestions and the same advice. Chill out, and things are going to be easier for you. Chill out, and it'll be all right. think less, do less, be less, which is the complete opposite narrative that the West is telling you: to be more, have more, do more, bigger muscles, more money, more cars, more women, more success, more followers, more, 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 more. And it's a complete switch. It's a complete reprogram of less really is more. Because when you have less in your mind, less thoughts, less destructive patterns, less invasive thinking, less self-sabotaging thoughts, you have more space in your brain to listen to the higher power. And when we get out of our brains, when we get out of our narratives, when we get out of our thoughts, the space resonates inside of our body so that we can actually feel at peace. And I told him one of the greatest bits of wisdom that one of my mentors told me. He said, the longest journey a man will ever take is the 17 inches from his head to his heart. And I said that the only way that you're going to be able to be at peace, the only way that you're going to be able to accept that you're worthy of love and not logically think how I'm going to place myself in a way that's worthy of love. That if I do X, Y, Z, then therefore I gain love. Rather than thinking this whole mental rigmarole of how to be worthy of love, being love now. Being in your body. Being in the center of your heart and feeling love. Thinking about the time when you were in love for the first time. Thinking about the time that your mother held you when you were a child. Thinking about the wet nose that your dog presses on you that wants love. Thinking about the purring cat that you're holding. Thinking about all the times where your heart was in this deep state of wonder and awe and joy at the magic and the mystery of being alive. At the fun and the joy of how it can be. Thinking of the peak moments of the times when you were so happy and free. That's a feeling. Yeah, sure, you can try to recreate that, but at the end of the day, it's really just about opening up yourself to the possibility of experiencing more love. Instead of planning and mentally preparing yourself and mentally constructing your reality in a way that makes you feel like you're worthy of love. And I told him, I said, the way to come to be at peace is to feel more. And he's like, what do you mean by feeling more? I said, it's by feeling more, not feeling more. He said, can you explain to me what you mean by feeling? I said, no, I can't explain to you how it feels. I said, you just have to feel it. I said, what makes more sense? If you're making love to your wife, you can explain to me how good it feels. You can explain to me that it's warm and that you feel good and that you're excited and that your body's aroused. Yeah, sure, I can describe to you what that experience is like, but the direct experience is so much more important. The direct experience is so much more valid. It transcends words. It transcends descriptions. It transcends the mental realm. There is no mind when you're looking into the one that you love. There is no mind when you're in love. There is no logic when you're in love. There's a great Bible quote that says, if you want to enter into the kingdom of heaven, you need to be like children. You think children are thinking about bills? You think that children are thinking about their schedule? No. They're just like, having all fun day. Oh, I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to be with mommy. And then all of a sudden, wow, there's ice cream. Whee! And they're just having a lot of fun. And things just work out. Things just fall into their lap. But the thing about being an adult, when you have a relationship with a higher power, when you're in your heart, is that that's the same thing. Life is the same way. Life is magical if you allow it to be magical. You don't allow it. You allow it. And it just shows up. It just, here you go. And the more we sit in the expectant, receptive, waiting, feminine way of being, receiving, the easier it comes. We're not going, we're not chasing, we're not attaining. It just shows up. And some people can say, what do you mean by that? Don't you have to work hard? You can't just sit on your ass and not gain a six-pack. Yeah, you're right. Sure. But you don't need to grind yourself to the bone to get a six-pack. You just need to do one or two little adjustments here and there, time under retention and not so many reps, and only work out for a little bit of time. And then over time it works out. And hey, why not go work out with your friends and listen to the music that you like and talk to that cute girl while you're there. So you can take a hard thing and make it a little less painful. So most of life is about waiting for the right time to strike and allowing it for it to be easy. Allowing it for it to be easy. It's hard when you're thinking about it a lot. It's hard when you're stressing about it a lot. If you're thinking about it a lot, you're triggering cortisol. You're triggering your nervous system to be inflamed. And then you think you have to work hard, and then you chug a bunch of coffee, and then your cortisol spikes again, and then you can't sleep, and then you're worried, and then you're staring at your screen all the time. And I say, chill out. Go into nature. Put your feet in the grass. Wait. The inputs, the quality of the inputs that you have dictate the quality of the outputs that you have. If you're pounding coffee, if you're drill sergeanting yourself in your head all the time, if you're thinking about thoughts that have stressed you out or made you upset or have pained you, then what kind of input are you putting into your brain, subconsciously or physically, that's going to result in peace? What if you have nothing? What if you lost your job now? What if you're sleeping on the street? Could you still be at peace with yourself? Could you? That's a real question. It's a real hard question. And I had to learn that for a long period of time. I had to learn to be at peace with myself when my nervous system was inflamed. I had to learn to be at peace with myself when I didn't feel okay with myself. I had to learn to be at peace with myself when I was struggling with vices. I had to learn to be at peace with myself when I was broke for a long time, when I was a loser, when I was addicted to porn, when I didn't have any money, when I didn't have a job, when I wasn't being a real man, when every facet of myself wouldn't qualify for any love or respect. I had to look at myself and be like, you know what? I still love myself. I'm still okay. I can still find the eye in the storm of all the chaos that I've allowed to happen in my life. Even though I have the external veneer of success, even though I look like I'm succeeding and thriving, my life was still really not okay. And in that feeling like a fraud, I had to find that deep peace of knowing that it was temporary and knowing that no matter how long it took, as long as I was in integrity and did the steps I needed to take every day, I was still going to succeed. And in that softening, in that listening, in that receiving, in the lessening, less and less and less mental, more and more and more feeling, less and less and less doing, more and more being, slowly but surely, I switched from being in my brain all the time to being in my heart all the time. And then I just tapped in. I would wake up in the morning and say, what do I need to do today? What's the highest good to do today? And then I get the insight. Go to that restaurant. And I get the insight. Call that person. And I get the insight. Create that video. It's like striking when the iron's hot. If the inspiration arises to go do something, do it. Because that's like the wave. The wave, to hit the wave, to ride the wave. Because if you wait too long, you miss the wave. But if you go too soon, you don't ride it at its full peak. So with any impulse, with any inspiration, strike the iron when the iron's hot. Now, somebody that's in their mind all the time, somebody that's thinking and worrying and wondering, they're going to think, okay, wave, this time, feet, position, oh, crescent, all of this. And they're mental, thinking and planning and structuring, thinking and planning and structuring. When it's really just about catching a wave and having fun. Moving from the 17 inches from your head to your heart. And that's the peace, ladies and gentlemen. That's the peace. And no matter what metaphors you use or what descriptions you can give or analogies or explanations or stories, nothing compares to the experience, to the direct experience, to the feeling of it. And really, what I've found is the only way to feel it more is to ask to feel it more. But the better way is to be around people that already emanate that peace. To be around people that have already overcome that challenging time of their life and have come on the other side and have been able to find the wisdom and have been able to find the grounded presence and peace and serenity, even in the face of what feels like the world falling apart. That's your next step, guys. That's the last missing piece that you haven't been able to figure out yet. That's why you're not happy. That's why things aren't sticking. That's why you don't have beautiful, powerful relationships. Because you haven't figured that part out yet. You haven't gone within and asked, how do I come to be at peace? How did I let go of fear? When you ask those questions and you feel fearlessness, you feel peace, then you're getting somewhere. Then you're gaining traction. The missing piece is your peace. And there's systems and there's structures and there's ways to gain deeper and deeper peace. But it takes time. And it takes consistency. But just like anything, like going to the gym or marketing or sales funnels or doing sales with somebody, it's a system. There's tools. There's a system you follow. It's an emotional system, not a mental system. It's an internal system, not an external system. It is a way of asking the right questions and listening to the answers and then taking action on those answers. It's a very sophisticated system, and yet it's a very simple system. And if you're struggling with that, I want to show you that system. I want to help you develop that system so that you can be building your empire, living your dream, rather than going to war all the time. You think a king is going to war all the time? No. The king sends his warriors. The king has the capacity to be a warrior, but has the wisdom to know when to take up arms and when to lay down arms. Contrary to popular belief, business is not war. If you think business is war, you're only ever going to be at war. And war never creates peace. Never. And you want to be at peace. You want to be at peace so that the kingdom you've built as the warrior that you became is at peace. You have the capacity to be the warrior, to strike when the iron's hot, to do the hard things, but you have the peace and the countenance and the wisdom to lead and rule your empire with benevolence and wisdom and inner standing so that you can delegate correctly and that you can be at the highest capacity that you can operate at, which actually is doing less and letting God do the heavy lifting. But the only way to do that is to allow peace to sink into your soul and have the ability to listen. And I want to show you how to do that. If you feel like that man that I met today, if you feel like you're constantly at war, if you feel like you can't be at peace, book a call with me. And I want to walk through how I can help you get to that peace. Because there is a way. That last final 5% that your soul is craving is waiting for you. And if you're ready to listen, it will come to you. Could be a prayer, could be a book. But I figured out a way to do it faster so that you don't have to scramble to figure it out and maybe even never figure it out. I don't want that for you. I wish I learned this sooner so I could have been at peace faster. But everything in perfect time.